Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Steven with Freeze Peach Gaming. This is where I talk about pop culture, politics, and where the two collide. Please consider giving me a like, comment, and subscribe down below and share out the channel because that helps me out a lot, getting more reach, which only you can help me with. As you can see on the screen today, unless you're blind, which sucks, but nonetheless, I'm sure you get around just fine. Bump into stuff occasionally. Nonetheless, we are talking about Justin Trudeau, or as I like to call him, Castro's illegitimate son. Apparently, old Fidel had some problems with the pulling out when it concerns some Canadian white meat. But Trudeau here is talking about the Trucker Convoy, the Freedom Convoy, spreading across the Great White North. They are blocking off borders. They are shutting down highways. They are making sure that their voices are heard. And while I do think that most of these people are probably performing what could be considered illegal acts, I still have to say I've always stood for civil disobedience, and I personally don't think there's anything wrong with civil disobedience. Is it a is it a peaceful protest? Then I'm cool with it. Is it a non-peaceful or a violent protest, as we used to fucking call them? Then I'm not cool with it. These people are being peaceful. They are making sure their voices are heard, and they have a huge amount of support from the Canadian public. Don't let these pieces of shit politicians lie to you about it. We're going to listen to what Justin Trudeau, a.k.a. Castro Jr., has to say about this.
It's important to underline.
Let me turn that up. It's kind of soft. Like him.
Close to 90% of truckers in this country are vaccinated, like close to 90% of Canadians.
Right there, 11 seconds and I had to pause it. 90% of Canadians are already vaccinated, and what are they fucking worried about? Mandating people, to coerce them, to force them through threat of violence. I know all these people are out there saying, oh, it's not threat of violence, it's just a mandate. Well, what happens if you say, fuck you, no? Are cops gonna come and throw you in fucking jail? Yeah, in that case, it's threat of violence. They are at 90%. At what point in time is the goalpost gone far enough? Originally, it was 60%, then it was 70%, 80%. They're up to fucking 90%, and they're still stomping on the necks of these Canadians out there, and they're done fucking taking it.
Over the past many months and years now, Canadians have stepped up to protect each other, to protect our frontline workers, to protect our elders, to protect our young people.
His idea of protection is living underneath him. That's what he wants. He wants you to be afraid. He wants you to be scared, and he doesn't want you going out and living your life how you fucking feel like it. That's his idea of protection, is you being a capitulating fucking pussy, and the Canadians ain't fucking taking it anymore. The nicest fucking people on this entire continent, by the way, the entire continent of North America, Canadians have easily got to be the nicest and most welcoming people out there. And when they're saying fuck you know you're being a shit.
To protect people like truckers who are putting food on our grocery store shelves. Canadians have stepped up to do the right thing to protect the freedoms and the rights of Canadians.
This motherfucker doesn't need to have the words freedoms and rights coming out of his mouth because he doesn't believe in freedoms and rights. He believes in total control. Don't listen to his words. Look at his actions. He says freedoms and rights. We have to protect the freedoms and rights. And how do we protect the freedoms and rights? We throw you in fucking jail if you don't do what we say. I mean, there's that Canadian priest who's been thrown in jail 3 times for speaking out because they don't have freedom of speech in Canada. For years, people have made fun of us Americans for saying, you know, this is the freest, best country of the world, land of the brave, home of the free. But no, they would always say, what about other countries? Canada has freedom, England has freedom, Germany has freedom. Look at those countries now. Do they still look free to you?
To get back to the things we love to do.
Also, is this just me? Or is Justin Trudeau has got to be the epitome of the NPC. Everything he says is a pre-scripted dialogue. Everyone who disagrees with him is a racist, transphobe, istophobe, whatever the hell you can think of. They're bad people. They're all Nazis. They're all Yatsies. Just because they disagree with this disingenuous Castro fucking throwaway son cunt. And he doesn't look out his eyes right. These people, they don't look out their fucking eyes right. Look at him right there. They got this blank stare. They're staring through you, not at you. Same shit happened with Bill de Blasio's daughter. Look at the before and after picture of her going to college. Before, nice, beautiful young girl. After, and she's got this fucking crazy look in her eyes, like she's about to just stab somebody. And who knows, she probably will if you have the wrong fucking view. If you try expressing your fucking freedom of speech, they might fucking stab you.
We know the way through this pandemic is by getting everyone vaccinated.
That's it. I said it. 100%. They got to have 100%. Can't have 90%. 90% vaccinated ain't fucking good enough. 100%.
And the overwhelming majority, close to 90% of Canadians, have done exactly that.
And that ain't fucking good enough for this authoritarian piece of shit.
Small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are...
It's a fucking 70-kilometer long fucking convoy. That's a small fringe minority. There's thousands of people showing up to these protests, cheering them on, bringing them food and water and hot coffee. Thousands, probably tens of thousands of people. A massive number of people are out there, and they're just a small fringe minority. But you know what? When it's a small fringe minority that agrees with Justin Trudeau, he's all about him. He's gonna fucking kneel down to him, and he's gonna say, I am so sorry for having to be a white man in a place of power, but I stand for all of you, nice and kind minorities out there. I love you so much that I paint my skin to look like you. That's what I do. To tell these racists and these misogynists how wrong they are by acting like a racist and a misogynist.
Holding unacceptable views.
All right, that line right there. Let's hang on. Let's roll this back at about 10 seconds. Listen to this whole part, and I'll stop breaking it up just so we can hear this sentence.
Small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing.
That right fucking there. They're holding unacceptable views. Guess what, Justin Trudeau? It ain't the fucking government's job to determine what is or what isn't an acceptable view. You know who does that? Fucking authoritarians. Dictators. That's who tells you what you can or cannot fucking say. What you can or cannot think. That's what's wrong with you, Justin Trudeau, and that's why these truckers are pulling together. That's why they're coming together against you. That's why they're done with these fucking mandates. That's why they're done with these fucking masks. They're done with all of your bullshit. They're done with your experimental treatment. And I stand with our neighbors to the Great White North. I've had a lot of families coming from that place. A lot of people I've loved grew up in Canada. And you know what? It's about time they stood up. It's about time they stood up against these authoritarian fucks out there who want to hold them down, put their boots on the back of their necks, and make them say, yes, daddy, please more. They stood up and said, fuck you, we're done. Unacceptable views. Fucking piece of shit. It's not the government's job. That is the exact point of the First Amendment, is that the government cannot determine what is or is not an acceptable view. But you know what? Canada doesn't have a First Amendment. They don't have freedom of speech. They don't have any of those things. They don't have the freedom to arm themselves. They don't have it in the UK either. That's why people are getting arrested for mean fucking tweets in the UK, or because they happen to use an N-word while quoting lyrics that was their best friend, their best friend who just died's favorite song. The N-word happened to be in that song, and they fucking quote it. They go to jail. You teach your dog to do a fucking Nazi salute because it's funny? Let's be honest. Anybody watch that video and not laugh their fucking tits off? I know I did. I had bigger tits before I watched that fucking video. But no. Got to drag him through the mud. Got to drag Count Dankula's who I'm talking about, in case you don't know. Look up, you're going to have to find it on like Daily Motion or something, but the Count Dankula Nazi plug video. It's high fucking hilarious. He got dragged through the mud for years. 2 fucking years he got dragged through the mud. And for what was it in the end? An 800-pound fine. It's what these people do. They want to control you.
Do not represent the views of Canadians who have been there for each other, who know that following the science and stepping up to protect each other is the best way to continue to ensure our freedoms, our rights, our values as a country.
Scientism again. It always comes back to the scientism. You got to follow the science because science has never been wrong in the past. That's never happened. Thalidomide, that wasn't a real thing. That didn't happen. Myocarditis, pericarditis, fucking, footballers all over the world. Sorry, soccer players all over the world for those of us who are still here in America. Soccer players all over the world dropping on the field with fucking heart attacks. 7, 6, 8-year-olds having fucking heart attacks. That wasn't an unfortunate case because science wasn't fucking followed, because they haven't followed the very things that the DEA set up so that they could prove a drug was positive, that it was actually safe for people to take. That's why you don't see commercials for any of this shit. Has anybody seen a commercial for any of these fucking jabs out there? No, because they don't fucking exist. You know why? Because they have to tell you every single side effect in the commercials. That's why they're just out there saying, oh yes, this CNN news broadcast is brought to you by Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson. That's why Stephen Colbert has all the fucking dancing needles going around the studio, because they can't actually advertise for this, because they would have to list the side effects, which they haven't completely determined. And even if they did determine, they wouldn't want to tell you, because they're making money hand over fucking fist right now over this shit. And 90% of Canadians went ahead and fucking took it. And now they're done. Now they're fucking done. They hit 90%. They had to hit 90% before they finally said, fuck you, we're done. Now, the flip side to all of this, people, is that even us here in America, this is going to affect us. There are going to be some negative consequences for everyday people like you and me, because of this convoy going on, because they're saying, no, we're not going to move your properties anymore. We're not going to move your goods from place to place. You said we were the essential workers. We were the lifeblood of the country. And now you're stepping all over us. Now you're telling us that we need to shut up and take it. And they're done. There's going to be unintended consequences. There's going to be more shortages. A lot of places, particularly up in the north, we're already seeing a lot of shortages. You might want to prepare for it. You might want to go out to the store, pick yourself up some canned goods, some water, paper towels, toilet paper. Things that you're not going to be able to live without. Food, water, those are the most important. Get stuff that's non-perishable or will last for years sitting on a shelf. I already did that. I went and did that today. You might want to do the same for yourself. And on top of all of this, he talks all this great rhetoric when he's in front of the cameras, when it's just people who are going to fucking bend down and kneel in front of him and say, oh, you're so great, Justin Trudeau. Thank you for all of your wonderful speeches. When he's up there, he talks a great rhetoric. But what happens when these people are actually getting ready to show up? Oh, look at that. Trudeau tests positive for the Kung flu and condemns hateful rhetoric. He always has to get that out. It's always the hateful rhetoric. This is coming from you from cbc.ca. Prime Minister has been isolating since one of his children tested positive last week. So here's the question. Did Justin Trudeau actually test positive, or is it just one of his kids? And he's like, well, I can't go out. I can't talk to these people. I might kill them with my COVIDs. They might catch the bat flu. And I really just wanted to read this first line here. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau condemned the anti-vaccine mandate. At least they fucking went right with there. It's an anti-vaccine mandate protest that have gripped the nation's capital for the last 4 days, saying he won't meet with people who promote hate and espouse anti-science views. So he won't meet with people who promote hate. Will he? Then what the fuck is this, Justin Trudeau? You out here kneeling down to fucking Black Lives Matter? Look at that. Look at that little cuck right there in his fucking mask. Black Lives Matter comes out, but they're there to denounce racism and police brutality. But he's going to kneel down for all these fucks that went through your neighborhoods, through your cities, and burned entire blocks to the fucking ground. They steal from you. They kill you. They'll rape you. They'll take over an entire fucking section of Seattle where there was more rape, murder going on than anywhere else in the entire fucking city. But no, he'll kneel down to these fucking people because they share his view, because they're politically and ideologically aligned with him. Don't trust these people. Don't trust them. They're full of shit. All they want out of you is your capitulation. They want power, money, and influence. And they get those from your capitulation. So I know it's going to hurt a lot of people with what these truckers are doing. There's a lot of innocent people out there who are going to be dealing with shortages. They might be scraping at the bottom of the barrel to get some of their goods. Maybe you need to go out and see if there is any local farmers markets or anything in the area that you can go to and pick some supplies up from there. Buy local. Those still may exist depending on your area. Stock up. Canned goods, water. Toilet paper, paper towels, bread. get yourself a freezer. That's what you need to do. Well, that's enough raising of my blood pressure for one day, ladies and gentlemen. I want you all, in these difficult times, I want you to know that not everything's going to be bad forever. Things can turn around. Sometimes it has to get a bit harder before it gets good, but all it takes for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. Remember that line. And these men up here, these men and women, these truckers up in Canada, who are standing for their rights, who are standing up, we need to support them. We need to be ready, even though our sacrifice is going to be a much smaller one compared to what they are making. We need to be prepared to make that sacrifice on our end, to deal with the shortages, to move past them, and to speak out for these people. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's freedom. But the majority of us need to embrace freedom. We need to embrace individual, inalienable rights. We need to stand against these people who want to take those rights away from you. That's all I have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful day, and never be afraid to speak your mind.